And good evening. My name is Zoe He. And so I think many of you have heard of or learned about Asian elephants since you were still children, probably through documentaries, trips to the zoos, or through cartoons. So today, I would like to take you beyond those early impressions and talk about elephants and their families. So Asian elephants are highly social animals. The family is their basic social unit. It is led by a matriarch and her offspring, including all the females and the young males. In the wild, female elephants take on the responsibility of guarding the young and raising them with care, a process which normally takes 10 to 15 years. Once male elephants reach sexual maturity or puberty, they will start to leave the herd and forage on their own, or form loose group with other male elephants. But up until that point, they have to stay with their mothers or aunties for shelter and to learn how to grow up. In a family, individuals are deeply bounded together, as they would spend 70% to 90% of their lifetime staying together. Thus, family is their most important channel of communication and their way of exchanging the most subtle emotions. So here is the picture taken at Xiangshi Zoo in Dongguan, Guangdong, China. And Xiangshi Zoo is one of the few facilities in China that allow elephants to live in family groups. Because in captivity, this natural family structure is rarely preserved. In China, there's around 310 captive Asian elephants, yet they are scattered across 80 facilities. Many of the facilities, except this one, kept fewer than 3 Asian elephants. Unlike in the wild, where elephants trek dozens of kilometers a day in search of food and water, a single zoo generally cannot provide enough food and space to uphold an intact family. So, most commonly, male elephants will be sold or loaned to other facilities when they started to show signs of competition, potential sexual precocity, or when there is no room to accommodate for a new birth. As a result, many male elephants are separated much earlier than they would be in the wild. So those baby elephants depicted in these photos will eventually be moved to other facilities one day. In the meantime, female elephants will often be exchanged with other facilities for breeding purposes. So as a consequence, most Asian elephants endure lifelong loneliness and insecurity after departure. And many of them are separated before they obtain enough life experiences, such as breeding, developing social skills, and raising their children. In light of all these, I decided to start a field investigation to better understand their living condition. So, along the way, I met many families, which prompted me to seek out their separated family members. Today, I would like to share with you a story of one such family, the family of Ya. I start off at Kunming Zoo. So, to meet some members of family Ya. They are Zhongbo, Yaming, Yaling, 520, and Yase. Yaming is the leader of the second generation of the family Ya. She was born at the zoo in 1990, and her partner Zhongbo came from the wild of Pu'er in Yunnan. They gave birth to 4 children in total. Among the children, Yaling and 520 live in an independent exhibit. By the time I met them, Yaling was 10 years old. She was quiet and preferred to turn her back to the tourists. And 520 was 5 years old and usually played alone himself. Because the exhibit they were in was separated from the rest of the exhibit. Although I could walk less than 5 minutes to see their mother in another exhibit, the 2 elephants would hardly find a chance to see their mother during the rest of a lifetime. As a result, Yaling took on the responsibility of taking care of 520 as a mother. In contrast, Yase, this baby elephant over there, was not a year old and still need to be breastfed. So he lives with his mother. The exhibit he was in is much greater. There are many enrichment facilities, such as tube feeders, a water pond, tires, and balls made of iron and wood. Living in such an environment, he's bright and animated. Unlike Yaling and Vaitani, who stay silent and still the most of the time. He eagerly explored the world with his trunk and won't stop for a second. But briefly, he'll run back to his mother's side to find shelter and to find a secure attachment. And on the other side of the fence is his father, Zhong Bo. During the breakfast time, the three elephants will gather close together to enjoy the breakfast and to communicate with each other using their trunks. Later, I went on to find the rest of the family Ya. So, my second station was Manting Imperial Garden in Jinhong, Yunnan, where I met where the Yaming's oldest son, Yanan, lives there. So, Yanan was transferred from Kunming Zoo, Tishi Shangbanna Tropical Zoo, at the age of 6, with his grandmother Yalong. And then he moved to Manting Imperial Garden alone himself. By the time I met him, he was 13 years old. Despite living with 4 other elephants, he was hardly able to connect with the community, so he remained taciturn and solitary the most of the time. He's a performing elephant, and also serves in elephant rites, which irreversibly distorted and injured his body. Okay, so after visiting all the children of Yaming, I started to wonder about Yaming's parents and her brother. So Yaming's parents was the first generation of Asian elephants to be introduced to Kunming Zoo. Mother Yalong came from the wilds of Myanmar and was born around 1960. She was moved to Kunming Zoo in 1986 with her newborn son Yakun. So she's the early head of the family Ya, and gave birth to 4 children in total. So in June 2023, I went to enjoy Animal Kingdom to meet Yalong. So because the day I met her was sweating hot, so she stirred the mud and sprayed it on her body to protect herself from sun rays and insect bites. And after finishing her food, she repeatedly strode the same road over and over and over. This behavior of repeatedly pacing the same path is actually a stereotypical behavior and reflects her loneliness. The stereotypical behavior simply is the behavior that is induced by frustration, repeated attempts to cope, as well as the dysfunction in central nervous system. So just on the side note, all those dance movements that tourists often refer to while they're observing animals in the zoo are all stereotypical behaviors. Then the next day, I went to Jinan Zoo to meet Yakun, the son of Yalong, and as well as the brother of Yaming. So Yakun was transferred to Jinan Zoo, also at the age of 6. And at the zoo, he met his love of life, Sakwan. So together with Sakwan, they gave birth to 5 children. But sorrowfully, all of their children have since passed away. When I saw Sakwan, the day I saw Sakwan, the last child of her, Yachi, was just passed away. So I saw her was sniffing the tire that Yachi left behind while dragging her emaciated body. So that's basically a story of the family Ya. And I feel like during this trip, I feel like Asian elephants are pretty much like us. We share the similar life cycle, and both require communication to meet our emotional needs and to acquire our essential knowledge to survive. Yet, in this three-generation family, we have seen a prodigious amount of departure, and all at a very young age. So when I saw those family members scatter apart, I couldn't help but imagine, what if they could live together? So that Ya Ling could assist Ya Ming to take care of the little Ya Se, who can be friends with 520. And Ya Nan could be there to pass down his experience of how to be a male elephant to both 520 and Ya Se. And the wise matriarch, Ya Long, will always be there to offer her lifetime of knowledge to all members in that family, and while also finding support and comforts in having her descendants around her. So this mutual web of support that is being constructed of having all these members living together will eventually help them to overcome their learned helplessness. It can also help to relieve their distress and anxiety caused by conditions in captivity, and maybe to help them to rekindle the hope to love, to nurture, and to bring new life into the world. What if they could reunite? Perhaps someday they can move into a national park, and where all the family members live together. And in the future, their descendants will thrive in the wild and expressing their natural behaviors freely. So after hearing all my speech, you probably might wonder what can we do about this situation, about all the splits of family members and the separation of their children from their parents. Well, an answer that I would want to give to everyone here today is to simply stop watching animal performances, to ride and to feed animals, to feed elephants. The many family members I saw during my trip experienced elephant training at a very young age. Behind those actions of handstands on chair, using their trunks to hula hoop, to play harmonica, to pick up straw hats, is separation, starvation, and breakdown during their childhood. One of the consequences is that a mother could force to be estranged from her own child when the sin that the mother left on its child is gone. So, to possibly end this situation is to simply stop watching animal performance. And similar training is also required for both elephant feeding and elephant riding. I saw zookeepers that who will bring all these elephants to those designated area every day in order to provide those services to the tourists. So the only time that they can get to meet with other family members is a few hours in the morning and in the end of the day. And after all, family really do matter to us as it is to them. In other words, family is everything to Asian elephants. So I firmly believe that the best way to possibly enrich the exhibit and to enhance animal welfare is to simply let them stay together. It's because with no demands of those activities, they will be at least to be kept with their family members longer. And thank you.